Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum Bridge again with myself, Gary, and we have Casper over there somewhere. Good morning, Casper.
Oh, I was the other way on my screen. Anyway, yeah. Hi, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And it's great today. This is a first for us where we have a returning guest and a new guest at the same time. So, Casper, I'm going to pass it over to you to introduce them for us, please.
That was a particularly polished performance from you, Kerry.
Yeah, I mean, we've done over 100 videos now. I think I've got maybe a little bit more. Yeah, improved maybe from the first one anyway. Yeah, it's quite a big difference.
Yeah, well, talking of that, actually, that's a nice little segue because obviously Nat was on previously, have we got today? And that's a good while back. So thanks again for coming on early doors, Nat. And over now to Nat and Lou from Organity to give us an insight into their current world. But firstly, hello, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Pleasure. So without further ado, because I tend to ramble on, as everybody knows, introduce yourselves again, if you don't mind. Obviously for you, Nat, it's the second time. For Lou, it's the first time. And give us a little bit of a picture as to sort of what you've been up to and what you see as going forward.
Well, we've been very busy. We've basically got a group of people together over the course. We started off with another group at the very beginning and gained quite a substantial community to allow us to buy food, organic food, as a group buy. And as the time went on, certain things happened, and like all movements, they have to come to a natural end. We were very focused on moving people away from the supermarkets, gaining trusted communities, and putting all of our monies that we're making from the business back into the pot, if you like, to buy more items of store cupboard things, all sorts of things that will take away people's reliance from the supermarket, because we were finding that, you know, with a lot of things that we were selling, there were still things that people needed to go to the supermarkets for. So we were not removing them as much as we would like. And I know that a lot of the community members feel the same way as we do, that they wanted to come away from supermarkets. They wanted to support farmers, small businesses that were struggling after having gone through COVID. So there's many reasons why we started this, but obviously it started with food, and that's the catalyst to get people to come together. But we've realised very slowly that it's not actually about food, or so much about food. Obviously, the food is very important, but it's more about the coming together and building lots and lots of communities here, there, and everywhere, and hoping that they'll come under one umbrella of Organity, so that we can then build a business directory, build really good relationships with people that aren't necessarily next door to us. So they're quite far afield. And so we've got a tribe, if you like, because I think that many of us through COVID felt extremely isolated with our choices that we made. But the beauty about this food thing is that it's not just about people that are aware of what's going on in the world. This is a project that brings all people, whatever their decisions are, whatever their choices are, it brings us all together and it stops that division. And I think that's really important for us. And we're all mums. So there's Joe as well as part of our team. So there's the three of us. And we were all concerned for our children's future. You know, sourcing good food, making sure they're eating the right food is more important than anything, because we've lost trust in the medical system and none of us want to go to the doctors. So how do we stop that? Well, you stop it with what you put in your body, which is fundamental. And I think we've all sort of realised that over the years now, going through COVID, that our health is so important, and eating the right food and surrounding yourself with the right people and energy is fundamental. So that's really what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a great.
Was you involved right from the start with Natalie, or have you come on board? How did you get involved with all this yourself?
I came on board. I volunteered to do a packing day. That's how it all started for me. And I got so much from it. And friendship was the most important thing to me, because I'd lost a lot of friends along this journey, and I needed something, and it's just given me what's the word it's given me something to live for, actually. I'm getting so much positivity from it. And I've met like homeopaths and healers, and I'm using them now to help me in certain situations. We've got such an amazing, diverse group, you know, and they're on our business directory now. So we, you know, I've got a homeopath that I'm working with at the moment, and she's helping me with my health. You know, it's just so many benefits from being in this group.
Yeah, there's that whole thing about sort of 6 degrees of separation. And once you start something like you guys have, obviously Nat started and been involved with now, you start to realize that when you get onto that separate track, that sort of new world, however we want to term it, because there's a lot of sort of thinking now that there really is a sort of two-world split, whether or not that is apparent sort of physically in some manifestation, but certainly in terms of our choices, that these what seemed to be fairly small choices at the beginning have opened up whole new communities and whole new worlds to us. And I think that's amazing. The other thing, just coming back to sort of Nat's point about all of this and the journey as well, the whole thing, the whole sense I get about this thing being based on sort of friendship and more than food, but underpinned by the food. It's such a beautiful thing to come together around, because it's so human to come together around food, and then out of that to grow these other communities. And as you're saying, Lou, this sort of opening up to other opportunities and other sort of types of things around health and whatever. What else are you guys seeing on that broader spectrum in terms of other parts of the country and linking in to other possibles? What else is sort of coming into view as to perhaps next steps?
Like last night, it's encouraging. We went to a meeting last night, and it's about encouraging people to actually grow as well. I think that's moving forward. We need to make solutions. Like, we want other people to, you know, have bits of land and grow. That's really important, and getting the children involved.
Yeah, because it'd be lovely for us to then start using, you know, having their veg as our source of supply to the groups, because obviously most people want seasonal vegetables. They want things grown by the people that they know of. I mean, we've been to a lot of the places where we get our items from anyway, so we feel very comfortable with purchasing those items, and it's really important to just get as many people involved as possible. And if they're growing it, they'll feel valued, because we're obviously paying them to take their beautiful things that they've lovingly grown, and then we start supplying the groups. But ultimately what we'd love to do is we'd love to get more and more regions under our belt to help out with doing what we're doing. But what we're finding is it's a really hard job to do. It's not a job, because obviously we're not drawing a wage. There may come a time when we may have to draw a small wage to be able to do what we're doing, because obviously the more groups we do get, the more time is taken from the families and from things that we would normally have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but obviously that we're not driven by that. That doesn't guide us.
Yeah, but there's no reason but why you should be impoverished by it either. You know, there's often this sense in the sort of, whether I'll just use an umbrella term of the truth movement or whatever, which I don't really like. But anyway, you know, of this alternative sort of viewpoint and alternative world, that you shouldn't be making money. Well, at the moment, the paradigm that we seem to be existing in still requires some sort of transactional element, you know, whether that be money itself, or that you do something and in return there's something more barter-like comes out of it. Like, for example, you supplied food but you received a homeopathic treatment, or whatever it might be. Doesn't have to be the old world paradigm, but this whole idea that you should impoverish yourself to do something good for the world, that doesn't really resonate very well with me.
No, but I think we just wanted to gain trust of people so they understand that this isn't a money-driven project for us. This is literally what it says on the tin. It is to gain communities and to gain trusted relationships with people, because of the isolation we felt through COVID.
Absolutely.
We never wanted to go down that road again. And I think we found many, many people that feel exactly the same as us, that feel strongly about food and relationships, and that's why we're so encouraged by our community. We do have the most fabulous community, there's really no negativity with it at all. They're
No.
just upbeat, happy, they're supportive, but at the same time, there's one fundamental thing that I think people need to understand with what we're doing. People sometimes buy from us because they want to support us, and we're always saying, you're not supporting us. We are here to, as a group, to support each other. We're just running it, but we don't need the support, because we're not taking anything from this other than these beautiful relationships, which you're all getting. So we couldn't do any of what we do without our community. We are all just as important as each other. But you do need someone to drive the ship, which is what Lou, Joe and I are doing. And we know that we have to put ourselves out there and do this. So if there are other people out there that wanted to do what we're doing, it takes a heck of a lot of time and energy. And there are many, many hours of work, and obviously I'm giving up my garage, and we're using electricity. We're using our printer, ink and paper to print out all the lists.
Correct. Yeah.
So the girls, Lou and Joe, the hours they spend doing all the lists and going to the farms, they go to a lot of the farms to get items. So it's a heck of a lot of work. And I don't know how prepared people are going to be to put themselves out there to do exactly what we do. If gaining friendship is enough for them, then they will do it. But if they're looking for a monetary reward or something else, I'm not sure it will be
certainly in the short term. Yeah, I agree with that. Totally agree. I just wanted to bring up something. I don't know whether this will have resonance for Gary and for you guys, but I keep on seeing these signs locally. This is in Hertfordshire in the UK about buy local. Right, everywhere I seem to be driving, there's always something going up about buy local, which obviously appears to be, for me, part of this sort of 15-minute city agenda, really, of not having you driving around or going anywhere other than staying in your own communities. But the whole weird thing to me about buy local is it's not talking about grow local. It's talking about buy local. So you might be buying locally, but you might be importing from the other side of the world to end up buying locally. And I think the very big difference around what you've been talking about and what you're doing, and also what you mentioned about last night, about that talk, is actually this thing of growing locally. That's far more important to the planet, if you want to view it in that way, than this thing of just buying from your local shops. Surely the key thing at the moment is to try to find ways to source good quality food and other products locally.
Yeah, it is really important. But that's what we're trying to do. And also we can't get things. I mean, we're really realistic. There aren't enough growers out there that grow organic, and obviously we're very concerned about what's being sprayed on the items, how it's being grown, what we're putting in our bodies. I always say this, but it's really important. So they are further afield. We have to go further afield to get things. So we have to use a central distributor. But in time, once we get to know, I mean, there's a gentleman that you interviewed a little while back that we're all good friends with, Mark. And he's got some incredible ideas and ways to sort of help with moving forward for many of us with local growers and really getting that project up and running, which is absolutely inspirational. And that's what we would love to do eventually, is to go to the little market gardeners or the people that are growing and support them, which ultimately supports us. So it's really important. But I think what's happened is the families have really been attacked. As we know, there's so many things, so many agendas, so many things that are going on at the moment. And one of the things, obviously, regarding food is that we don't sit at the table anymore as a family and eat at the table. And that's the time that we would talk and get our relationships really good and strong with our families. So, but again, by doing what we're doing, people are going to have to cook, because the items that we sell, you have to muster something up with it. You have to cook with them. And then hopefully they'll take it to the table and eat as a family. So we're trying to put all of those old family values back into us, our communities, our friends. We have lots of get-togethers. We've got another idea, haven't we, with the filming?
Yeah, this is really exciting, actually. We're going to get the group together and have certain people cooking certain dishes with our produce, and film it. Everyone wants to get involved. It'd be quite exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It just shows.
That's a lovely idea. Yeah, you're really bringing it to life in that way. And of course, people want to be involved. And, we'd welcome you back as well to talk about that and maybe show some images from that, or be involved in any way we can. I mean, just to say, that other guy, Mark, that we were mentioning, he's really part of this thing that I believe comes under the banner of our food story, and is basically to do with the sort of length of a certain part of the Grand Union Canal, which again is a nice term, Grand Union. But I think that this thing that you're mentioning about it being so much more than just the food element is obviously hugely important, but all of these little ripples that are coming out from your willingness to take that first step and put in the hard work. I mean, I know that it's not been an easy road for you, but do you think that it's been worthwhile today?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we love what we're doing. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, because obviously it does take a lot of time, doesn't it?
It does.
A lot of energy. Sometimes we're really drained. I mean, after a packing day in the garage. So just for anybody that doesn't know what we do, we have a website and we have hubs, which are like little groups of communities here, there, and everywhere. And each hub will make an order from the website, and that will come to us. We will print that order out, and that is our pick list for that particular person. And on a Wednesday, which is our day when we get all of our items together, Lou and Joe do the dairy run, the egg run, and obviously we also do the meat run together on a different day. So we get everything ready for the Wednesday for when all of our vegetables arrive. We pack 50, 60 odd boxes each cycle. And these boxes are not small. They're quite big boxes, because they have to last people for 2 weeks. And obviously, anything, when there's little bits of money made going back into the business, we can buy extra stock. So we now have a vast array of store covered items, which we're hoping to build upon, over the coming months. So all of that's going in as well. So it takes a lot of time, but it is so worth it, because obviously we're building these wonderful relationships and we have such a buzz on the day. It's fun. We get to be together,
I mean, the thing of replacing the supermarket, I mean, the less and less that I have to, and many of the people I know have to go into supermarkets at all, the better. And I think it's only come down to certain items now generally that we just can't really find anywhere else, or we're just out and feeling a bit lazy and grab something. But the ability to support our local communities, to support local growers, and to have those other items coming into your mix, that makes a massive impact for most of us, because we really want to put our money where our mouths are.
Well, some of the items that we get, some of them just aren't cheap. I mean, we really struggle with it. But the reason why we get them is because they're really small businesses. We've got a really gorgeous little coffee place, haven't we? That's in Devon, and it's just a family-run business. Their coffee is expensive. It's organic and it's beautiful, but it is quite expensive. So there's things like that sometimes we struggle with. Should we put it on? Should we really ask for this amount? But we're not making anything from these items. They are what they are, but it's still expensive, even though we get it at a wholesale price. So we do struggle sometimes with certain things that we put on, but we think, no, look, if we put it on, they've got the choice. They don't have to buy it. It's there if they want. And we're trying to support all of these small businesses to keep afloat, because COVID.
And by the way, when I was talking about local, I was really meaning the UK. I'm seeing, when I see these things, I'm knowing that, this is brought in from South America, this is brought in from India or Asia or whatever. And then there's this focus on, oh, don't worry, we're all buying local. Well, you're buying local, but you're not sourcing local. So with you guys, all you're doing is, where you can get stuff very locally, obviously you do. And in the cases that you can't do that yet, obviously you're sourcing from around the UK, which to me seems, I mean, we're not talking about flying it in or shipping stuff in, are we?
No, well, we do use Riverford for our bulk. And obviously things that we know, we make a list to the group to let them know what is local, what's from the UK, so they're aware of all the bits that they would like to buy, because it's UK based. But there are a few things that are flown over, because you can't get peppers,
well that's right,
bananas, but people still want them, so we have to put them up there. We can't say, oh, well, it's not in this country, so we can't sell it. We know we want bananas, we need bananas, so we have to say, okay, well, there are a few exceptions to the rule. You're
just being realistic, though, at that point. That's all you're doing, is you're saying, if you want these items at all, the only way to get them is to bring those few items in. But the mainstay of what you guys offer is sourced as locally as you can, at least.
And we're constantly researching, like trying to find other businesses, that we can buy from all the time, aren't we? So we're bringing new things in all the time.
And that will come more and more from that community that you guys have built as well. Because coming back to this sort of 6 degrees of separation, the more people that get involved with that, by dint of that, the more friends and other associations that they have. And hopefully that will all help to bring in, you know, this variety that we're all looking for. Because what we don't generally, most people don't want to do is limit their choice. You have to do that to some degree at the beginning, but over time, I mean, it'd be a wonderful thing to find more and more products that you could add, because I think all of us would prefer to buy from you if we can.
And we get the community involved. We ask them questions, you know, what would you like to see? You know, we give them options and they give us ideas, and then we run with it, don't we?
And try and get the items.
You know, we want to get stuff like raw dog food and cat food and, you know, shampoo, conditioner, things like that. We're adding more and more. It's difficult though, because there is never enough money in the pot.
Yeah,
I was going to say, there comes a point when you're just going to need to bring more funds in solely so you can deliver what your communities are asking for.
Well, what we would love to do, this is our ultimate goal, is to get a couple of vans. So then we can actually do a delivery service for those people further afield, because it's just impossible for them to travel all the way to us, you know, in Buckinghamshire, to get a few veg boxes. And some people don't have a large group of people that are interested like they are. So we're really, really working out ways in how we can do this, because we'd find that quite exciting. You know, we're going on the road, wouldn't we? And meeting more people. So yeah, that's ultimately
a couple of fridged vans would be amazing.
So if you've got any,
I was just going to say, so we'll have to rustle those up.
I think we should say that, you know, Casper and myself, we did come along to one of your sort of busy packing days. It's last year sometime, isn't it? It's quite a long while ago. But I think what I found amazing was the amount of range of stuff that you had. You know, it's turned into a real, like a little store in your garage.
You don't find that in the supermarket. There's a limited amount of organic veg. It's amazing what we can get hold of now.
Yeah, and the big thing I think there is it does show that at least in where you are, you have to have the community that supports that. To otherwise, you know, it doesn't match. You've got to have that consciousness of the amount of people that want to buy the actual products for you to be able to bring them in. I mean, you did mention you want to start having some other sort of dry goods or these shampoos and things. But on the veg side, is it still all allocated at the moment? Because I know that's how you was operating before, wasn't it? Everything was sort of brought in.
Yeah, we've changed it a bit. We're so when we order now, we order ever so slightly over on a few items that we know that are quite popular in the group. So that if anybody's late to the party and hadn't placed their order, or they want to add a few bits on that they've forgotten about, obviously anything now, the store is open 24/7. So they can go on at any point up until the Tuesday before our Wednesday cycle and make an order. And if it's on the website, it means it's available. If it's not available. So they can still then order. So we're trying to be more flexible and helpful to the community, because we understand that every 2 weeks just isn't going to cut it. You know, we forget things, we might need things, and going back onto the store is quite handy. And it kind of works for people that live locally to us, but it's not so easy for people that aren't so local. So, you know, that's the problem. That's why having the vans, eventually we can maybe do weekly cycles. And we're looking into that at the moment. And we're trying to rack our heads around how we're going to do this, because we always have to have a week's notice to put things in. But you know, we'll work around it, because I think it's really important to offer that service if people need it, and see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's something I noticed, because just by default, I've only ever worked in retail. So I see some of this stuff going on here, and I think obviously the more you grow, if you start getting into these other goods, you're now talking about stock, that the turnaround on that. So it's slower maybe, so you're holding cash, if you like, in products now, whereas obviously your previous model, you was literally sort of selling it all. So there are those little hurdles, if you like, or as you expand, of how you're going to do that. It's But anyway, we're here to always give advice as well. So like I said, I do know that industry, whether I like it or not, is another thing. But by being, it's just what I fell into, like a lot of people. So, but I want to get back to that consciousness thing because I feel it's something people have to buy into. That it is a little less convenient. I do this, but I have to be ready. If I'm going to buy from my local farm, I have to, like I say, do it a week in advance, and I might forget. I think I didn't order it on Monday, and now, so I have a few different options to cover that. But how are you finding that in terms of expansion? You've obviously got a real good group locally, but in terms of expanding that out, I think you mentioned sometimes some people are isolated; they don't have enough people around them. Do you feel that's an issue still?
It is.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the difficulty. And it's, you know, we would like people to find a group that's, say, 20 odd people to make it viable so that we can help them out. But that's the difficulty, is bringing people together.
It can be anybody. It can be their friends, their families, their neighbours. You know, if they feel very strongly about this, they really need to just do what we did and just go, you know, have conversations with people that we know and see if they want to get involved. And I think we started, we had about 30 odd people. We've now got like 80, 90 people in our particular area, but then we've got other groups as well. So we're basically feeding over 100 families now, you know, every 2 weeks. And it not necessarily the same people order each time. They might skip a cycle or, you know, come back after, or that there's always continuity with the community. We always have orders from them. So, and there's the usual ones that always order, you know, like us, because we get the food as well. We have to buy our food, and it's great for us because it means we can get the variety and the choice that we would love for our families by doing this as a group venture.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, for example, I missed this cycle, and then Nat's now been kind enough to say that you can still order. It's basically for blokes, isn't it? This thing of we're terrible, as Gary already admitted as well. That he misses that.
For men. It's not just.
Oh,
men.
okay. Good.
Yeah, and they're always gutted when they miss the deadline. But now the way we're doing it, there is possibility that you can get some extras. There's always something available.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and it's nice that you're sort of, you know, as much as I'm sure this has been a terribly challenging journey, there obviously are a lot of things that, as well as getting this amazing community coming out of it and all the things and the ripples that has built for you, but also you are learning something completely new about a certain type of retail. And whether you love that or not, I just think the fact that you've gone on that learning journey as well, I find that pretty incredible. You might just see that as normal because it's been day by day for you, but looking from externally, I think a huge amount of sort of personal development and growth has occurred for you guys.
I think what we found the hardest is that people judge us by none of our people. I don't mean that, just people that we've met through the years that we've been doing it, or the year that we've been doing it. They kind of judge us by their own lenses and don't believe that we could be doing something just for doing something. There's a bit of distrust, and I understand that because obviously we've gone through the biggest psyops in the last 4 years of every single thing out there when it comes to health, education, media, government, judiciary, council tax, and I mean the list of tax, everything goes on and on and on.
Agreed.
So and the eyes are wide open now. You know, once you've gone down a little journey, you the doors open to many more roads, and you're finding out all sorts of things. So I don't blame people for the distrust, because there always needs to be an element of distrust to enable you to find out more about something, to put your feet in the door. But we are literally doing this as mothers for our children to create a better future. Now, you might say, well, how is this going to create a better future? You're just doing a food buying group. It's not. It's knowing where you're getting your food from, getting the children involved with the food. We have children come on packing days. We get children coming along doing artwork in the garage and seeing what it's all about, listening to the music, packing, playing, whatever. And it also allows us to do things in a different way, come together as a family unit, be with a big group of people, learning to converse with other people that you wouldn't necessarily meet, children talking to adults, stranger adults, but obviously they feel comfortable with these because they're mummy and daddy's friends or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new thing. It's building the communities, the trust, the relationships, and we are so transparent. Everything we do, we let people know. And we've always said, if you ever want to see the accounts, because you can see where the money's going, what we've made, where that's gone to, what we're doing, because it's so important for us to know that we are trusted, because we want to be trusted, because we know why we're doing this and we want others to know why we're doing this. So when we go to a group of people and we explain it, the first thing we have to say is, we're not selling you anything. And it's so important for them to understand that. And you do not need to come on board with us. We have the most wonderful community. It's thriving. We've got what we want. But obviously, ultimately, it's always nice to build upon those communities and have more people involved. So that's why we're opening ourselves up to be able to help others. So if they want to come on board, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But people just need to understand we're not selling anything. We're just merely giving our expertise in something that we've learned. You know, we've mucked up, we've gone wrong, we've done good things, we've done bad things. We're learning all the time. We're just three people that have never really done anything like this in our lives, that have just seen a gap in something that needs to be, we need a solution to a problem. And this is just one. And there are so many problems. We need other people to step in and work on those things. But this is where we felt very passionate about. And this was something we could bring all people in, not just the people that are aware of stuff. All people.
Yeah, I think that's a great distinction, by the way. I suppose we're getting close to the end of
it's
this.
going to cut off in any second. So
yeah,
it's a great point to finish on that.
Yeah.
We'll put any details in the description below for people. But thank you once again for coming on.